specialized doctor who comes in to have conversations with us. My name is Fumi Bangwala, and our radio doctor today is our doctor that went absent without collecting permission from us, Dr. Abiel. Hi, Dr. Abiel. How are you?
I'm doing well, doing very well. I had some personal issues I needed to sort out, but
Oh,
everything is fine now.
good. Thank God. Thank God. So
Everything's
sorry.
fantastic.
All right. Have you been though?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing very well. Trying to stick with my diet and not eat too many good foods. And we're doing very well.
Speaking of diets, Dr. Viola, I traveled. I tra- is your
Let me
why
calm
is your
myself.
laughter preempting me? I
I'm ready.
traveled.
I know what you're gonna say, I think.
Wait now. I traveled. So I'd been well behaved and I traveled, and then everything just went haywire from there because calories don't count on holiday. Don't tell me
Oh,
who
says who?
says me. They don't go. I ate more down every fair, but I went to Rwanda and Kenya. So their food is not even like ours, but their food, like I shall ate because it was buffet. I remember one particular morning, I said to myself, "You're eating three people's food right now as breakfast," because it was a spread. Right, so I had to eat. That's number one. Number two is so when I got back, of course, because I already had the unhealthy practices, I
You
just followed.
continued?
Yeah, I
No.
continued. And I was looking at myself, I was like, this thing I doing is all healthy. But the problem is if you don't meal prep or if you don't go and buy like your healthy stuff, there's no point. You can't eat healthy. So this week, a friend of mine, I saw that she just concluded a 21-day water fast. So I said, you
Oh
know
my
what?
goodness.
Was it this week,
Mhm.
Monday or something? And I knew that this thing was unhealthy. I'm not gonna lie, because I follow quite a few health people who talk about they talk about intermittent fasting and stuff. And because they're nutritionists and gym rats, they tell you all the time that look, what you need is a healthy plate, really, as opposed to depriving yourself because there are foods that you have to eat that'll give you nutrients, blah blah blah. Then I saw somebody say, oh, she only had, I think, protein and realized that she was missing out in carbs. So she went to go and eat carbs, and that's for the first time when she realized the importance of carbohydrates. I said all that to say, Dr. Biola, I decided to go on a water fast on Wednesday. I said I was going to
What
start
describe
with
water fast? What is the water fast?
you're just drinking water.
For how long?
So she did 21 days. I said I was going to, I see, listen
20,
to what I'm saying.
21 days no food?
Yeah, she only drank water, coconut water, and electrolyte. So on Wednesday, so I had a party. I said I'll start on Wednesday, but I started on Wednesday night. Went for a party. I ate my last meal. Dr. Abiola, I
Today
have broken.
today
I
is
have
Friday. You've not eaten anything since Wednesday?
Dr. Abiola, I have eaten.
Okay.
Dr. Abiola,
What-
I have eaten. Okay, so I started on Wednesday night, 5 o'clock. Yesterday I was okay then, but I had to go out yesterday, so I expended a lot of energy. But what I did not account for was that the kind of work that I do, I am expending energy talking. So from 6 a.m. in the morning, so by yesterday, I had clocked 24 hours by 5 o'clock. My husband was just looking at me like, Kilo Nche. I say I'm doing water fast. He goes, "Ato." He saying I've started again. I say I've started again. Then this morning I woke up and I was weak. When I mean weak,
Yes.
weaker than the weekend. Like I'll drink electrolyte. I said I'm not going to use my money to go and buy anything. I'll drink water. This Gabriella started my show by 6 after newspaper review, which is like 7:30 to 8:30, and it's heavy talking.
Mhm.
Isabella, I first went to go and take yogurt to ease myself into it, and then I ate rice. And I
And
cannot
then
tell
rice.
I ate
No.
rice because I can't even tell you that I'm okay. And like I can feel weak. My body is still very, very weak, even though I've eaten because I deprived myself of food. Do you know what I was thinking for over 36 hours? I'm not doing that thing again. Nah. Anyway.
See, I like that you gave us the whole story. There's usefulness to fasting at about 24 to a peak of 48 hours. When you fast like that, just do the water fast, your body will now go into a phase called autophagy,
Ketosis.
where it starts
Yeah.
Yeah, killing all the, start eating up all the dead cells, all the weak cells. It does all of that. If I were to do something like that, 21 days is excessive though. You're gonna lose a lot of muscle. You're gonna feel like crap.
She
But if you
lost
can
10 and
do
a
it
half.
24
10
hours,
point,
is not
yeah.
bad.
Yeah, fine, Abby. I'm okay. She lost 10.6 kg in
Because
two
she was
weeks. What, in
malnourished.
3 weeks?
Yes.
I was like, and then the issue is her having to eat because she still cannot eat. So she's been taking a lot of bone broth, mashed watermelon, mashed cucumber. See, when I was telling Rose I was going to, she asked me, she said, what was it? She said, there's so much beautiful foods to eat that God has blessed us with, and you're choosing not to eat them. I've not even had in mind to tell her anything. Anyway, let's get into it. Anyway, still radio doctor this morning, and Dr. Biola is going to be consulting with us today on hepatitis this morning. We are live on YouTube at WFM 917. You can listen to us on the go via our website www.wfm917.com. The lines will be open shortly, but you can send a text message to 0703 1756 537. Now that that is out of the way, let us get into it. Dr. Bella, what is hepatitis?
Yeah, hepatitis, anytime you have that extension itis, it means inflammation, right? So hepatitis
Okay.
means inflammation of the liver. And the liver lives under your right breast, just behind your rib cage, and is one of the body's most important organs. It helps to not only process food and process everything that goes in your mouth, it stores energy. It helps remove toxins and detoxify the blood. It even produces something called bile for your blood digestion, supports your
Mm,
blood clotting, and also helps your body to fight infection. So there's almost every process is affected by the liver. And when it becomes
well,
inflamed with hepatitis, then the liver is not going to work as well. And people start having symptoms. I'm sure we'll get into that later, but first, as soon as I hear somebody talk about fatigue, chronic tiredness, I always start thinking about the liver. And
okay.
we're talking about hepatitis. There's 5 types of hepatitis. Just 2 of them, hepatitis B and C, account for almost 2 million deaths a year. So this is something
Oh, that's a
that's
lot.
common. That's very common. And when we do comprehensive exams in the lab in our hospital, you catch so many people with hepatitis B or C that they didn't know they had it. They didn't know they were exposed, and that's a whole nother issue that we'll talk about later for sure.
Mm. 2 million is high. Oh, ha. How many are
Yes,
we in this
yes,
world?
and it's growing, and it's growing.
That's a
I think
lot.
we should be somewhere
Mm.
between 6 to 7, about 7 billion. I think
Mm.
last count.
Wow.
But if these
Okay.
people get their way, there'll be very few of us left. The new world
Yeah.
order. Yes, maybe we'll talk. I'll come on your political show to talk about that stuff.
Okay. Honestly, I didn't even know that hepatitis had anything to do with liver because you typically hear of hepatitis A, B, C, or whatever. I thought hepatitis was a sexually transmitted disease.
It
That's what
it,
I
it,
thought.
it, hmm
But
it
can you
can be.
explain? Oh, it can be. Oh, so,
hmm
but can you explain the different types of hepatitis? That's the A, the B, C, D, E, and how they differ from each other.
And so 5 of them, hepatitis A and hepatitis E, right? So A, B, C, D, and E. The way I always remember them in med school is that the first and the last one, A and E, are transmitted through contaminated food and water, right?
Okay.
And A and E are usually self-limited, meaning as long as the person doesn't die from diarrhea or um, throwing up, that the immune system will usually clear it on its own. So you
Okay.
now have the three. You now have the three in the middle: B, C, and
In the
D.
middle.
D only affects people that already have B, and it just makes B worse. So now we're just
Oh,
talking about B and C, and those are the most common. Those are the most common and the most dangerous. B has no cure. Hepatitis B has no cure. You can only manage it, and it is truly sexually transmitted, or when people share contaminated needles, or that's the
mm,
one you hear about people getting from B and C, both of them could be transmitted the same way. Sexual exposure, contaminated needles from mother to child during pregnancy and delivery. And hepatitis C can cause liver cancer.
Hmm.
And so those are the main ones. B and C we worry about because they can be chronic and there's no cure. A and E you worry about in areas where there's poor access to clean water or people are not washing their hands well. Think about rural or slum areas like India or even Nigeria. That's where you'll worry about those ones. But I see hepatitis B and C every day. Mainly
Um,
hepatitis B, I see every day, every day.
okay, for the A and E, how do those differ to typhoid and cholera? Because those ones too are like unclean water and environment, right?
That's very smart of you to make that association. All of them. So typhoid and cholera, those are bacteria, right? So they cause
Um,
bacterial infection. Hepatitis A and E, those are viral. But all four of them you can get from contaminated food, water, or the environment. So that's smart to put them that way.
I try. Then for B, right? You say sexually transmitted, but you said hepatitis has to do with the liver. So can you walk us through how does sexually? I don't like. I'm trying
Yeah,
to see the connection there.
yeah, it's a good question. So if, for example, some of them that are transmitted through infected food or water, right? It will stay in your digestive tract and you stool, you can now stool out the virus, right? And a lot of people may stool into a river or water, and now you just keep contaminating over and over
Oh
again.
yeah.
Hepatitis B and C primarily will enter your bloodstream. So anything that's in your bloodstream typically can be sexually transmitted, because
Right.
you have very small blood vessels in your private parts. Friction during intercourse can break those blood vessels, and then blood can change over. Same,
Wow.
same. So it doesn't just live in the liver; it lives in the blood. Same thing for like HIV. HIV circulates in your blood. That's why it can also be sexually transmitted or transmitted by sharing needles.
Hmm. So for just to go back to A and E, because we've already established that B and C is mostly sexually transmitted. So that's anybody who's sexually transmitted obviously would be those that are at risk. Anybody who's sexually active without protection, beg your pardon, would be and has intercourse with anyone who already has it in their bloodstream again. What about for A and E? Who's at risk? Is it just anybody, or are there more immune people who are susceptible to it?
Yeah.
I mean,
So
less.
for yes, I get it. And I like to group A and E, typically together. Just
Okay.
for the layperson, it's easier to think about it
Mm-hmm.
that way. Even though they're slightly different structurally, it's. I'm sure we talk about the way we talk about it in med school is called fecal oral route, meaning somehow um, tiny particles of stool that are infected can infect a person's food, water, their hands, or even the surfaces and enter another person's mouth. And then that cycle um, goes over again. A lot of people don't know that even when you flush the toilet, whether it's a private toilet or a public toilet, millions of bacteria, viruses go
Anyway.
up into the air that you don't see, right? So if somebody with this disease where the stool in that toilet is flushed, it possibly could contaminate all those surfaces. And if the place is not cleaned well and disinfected, then people can now get. So when you talk about people who are at risk, um, when you're in overcrowded areas, typically because everybody's on top, you now have poor access to clean water, poor sanitation. If you have food handlers or food preps where they don't have proper hand washing, you can see it in daycare settings, you know,
Mm.
um, and then also in, I guess, people that travel to areas where it's common, all of them at risk.
Mm.
But the good news about hepatitis A, especially very general, so it's easy for people to ignore them, right? So when you could feel the same way. Some people feel abdominal pain, especially in advanced disease. And remember, we talked about the liver under the right side of your
Mm.
breast. so that right upper side of your belly where your liver lives. And if it's truly infected, people will also talk about their stool changing color, having itching, like generalized itching over the skin, or even yellowing of the eyes or of the skin, which we call jaundice. So
Mhm.
a lot of people think the absence of symptoms means that the liver is safe. No, your liver is
Mm.
very resilient. It's taking insult and injury all the time and trying to repair itself. If you start seeing some of these early warning signs, it means that it's starting to go far and more likely you need help.
Hmm. And these symptoms, they cut across all the different types of hepatitis, right?
With the ones that are A and E, the ones that are transmitted through contaminated food and all that,
Mhm.
you would see more of the what we call gastroenteritis, so nausea, vomiting, diarrhea. You see more of that with A and E
Okay.
than you typically see with B and C. But they all affect the liver. So if you have hepatitis A for long, you're going to have tiredness, fatigue, weakness, just like all of them. All of them. Once your
Okay.
liver starts get suffering, you are going to feel like you're dragging. It's like driving a car or a bicycle with one or two flat tires. It's just going to be everything that's really, really slow. That's one way to describe
Hmm. What about so let's switch gears to treatment. No, no, diagnosis, not even treatment. What is are there tests done? What are the tests used to diagnose hepatitis? What are the tests used to assess liver health and things like that?
it. The way I teach other doctors and students about hepatitis is that for testing, it's typically going to start with a blood test. And so you want to do something called screening. You just want to see if that person has been exposed, right? And that's the most common way of seeing that they've been exposed to hepatitis B is by doing a blood test. So that blood test is called the hepatitis B surface antigen test. So a virus, think about a virus like this, or if you remember pictures of the coronavirus, they would show you a virus and then it would show you like a protein, they call it the spike protein in corona, but the hepatitis B virus, and see, all of the hepatitis viruses have that same kind of thing. They have a virus, they have proteins. So you have an antigen, which is the protein that's on the virus, or you have
Mhm.
an antibody. So after an antibody is the immune cell that targets that particular protein. So after we do a surface antigen, we're looking for whether you were exposed. If we see you've been exposed, we now start looking at antibodies to see if it's an active infection,
Right.
and if you are infectious. So there's some people that have been exposed, the infection is not active, and they're not entirely infectious. We can watch people like that, but you want to screen to see if they've been exposed. You want to do antibody testing to see if it's infectious or active, and then after that, or at the same time, you want to do liver function testing. So you want to see how the liver is responding to the battle it's fighting with hepatitis. You take all of that together to determine whether or not you're going to treat the patient,
Mhm.
how long you're going to treat them, and with what agents.
Hmm.
But if somebody, I know it sounded a little complicated, but if you do a hepatitis test, the first test you're going to do, probably in any lab, is screening. You don't want to, I don't want to hear that a person is positive or negative. That doesn't help, really. I want to know if the person is positive or negative, and if they're positive, I want to know about the antibodies and I want to know about the liver. Because when I typically treat for hepatitis, you treat for 6 to 9 to 12 months. On average, it's 6 to 9 months
Okay.
of treatment. So you don't want to just start treatment if you don't have to, because it's long and expensive. And also, you don't want to start and stop treatment because you can have resistance where the drug you're using now doesn't work later. So you really want to know the conditions in which you're taking the treatment.
Hmm. Wow. I mean, we've already gotten into the
I treat a
treatment.
lot of patients with hepatitis. I see it honestly every single day.
Which ones are the most common? B and C?
Yes, B would be in our environment here. B is the one I see the most,
that you see
and
the most? Mhm.
yes, followed by C. But B, it's like 9 to 1. What I would see.
Mm. You mentioned that there are manage it if someone has it. How do you manage it? If they're managing it and they have a new partner, do they have to tell the new partner, "Oh, I have this, that"? What does that look? What does that process look like?
Yeah. For managing, like I said, hepatitis B, no cure. Hepatitis C can possibly be cured if the treatment is taken well.
Hmm.
You definitely need to tell your partner because they are sexually transmitted. Hepatitis C can cause liver cancer. Hepatitis affects people, everyone differently. So, one person could have it for 10 years and not show any symptoms, liver looks fine, everything is fine. And someone else could be infected and within 2 years start having yellow skin, itching, and yellow eyes, and really be suffering. So it really depends on a few different things. But with D, which is the one I see the most, we're just managing it. So I usually try to beat the virus into submission. So there's something called viral load where you can take a blood sample and count how many copies of the virus are in every drop of blood. And that number really lets you know if you're fighting or anything above, before it used to be 200,000, but now we look at around 2,000. Anything above 2,000, you need to really hammer that person with treatment. Under 2,000, most people's immune system can handle it.
Hmm.
That's called viral load.
That's interesting. But for oof, like, have you had a case where like you had to be there when the partner was telling their partner that, "Oh, I have hepatitis," because you for sure didn't get it from me. So where did you get it from? Like, is that something that you offer as a form of support for them?
I personally do. So I've encountered, I've really worked with my patients because I'm thinking about the long-term complications. You
Yeah.
may have a unmarried man that has multiple sexual partners or unmarried woman that has multiple sexual partners. And when I diagnose them with hepatitis, one of the first things that you have to call all your partners and let them know to get tested. Most people don't want to do that, right? Most
Of
people
course
want to
not.
just ignore it and think it's going to go away or
Wish it
just
away.
wish it away. And if I have any semblance of a relationship with that patient, I'll usually say, just invite your partner. We'll talk together.
Mm.
It's not a death sentence. We will break the news in my office, and I'll quickly now start talking about all the positive things and that can be done. So it's not meant to break up a home. It's meant to make sure that you guys have long term, um, let's say long term healthy relationship. I've seen a few things blow up in front of me where the woman or the man looks at each other like, where did you get this from? I'm going to be doctor. I want to be tested. So they will go, leave, go test it, and come back. She's negative or he's negative, and you're now looking at each other. And I have to always remind, the person, of course, will be swearing I didn't do anything. I'm not there to morally judge people. So I'll have to quickly say it's possible sexually transmitted. It's also possible that it's been lying dormant in your body for 10 years. So it could be somebody you met in school, one casual encounter that you thought would never come back to haunt you. So I usually tell people hepatitis B is the gift that keeps on giving. And
Eh,
if you don't manage it, it will gift you into an early grave.
so the management, so I'm just sorry if it seems like I'm still on this matter. So the management of the hepatitis B, right?
Mhm.
The person is managing it and can still be sexually active.
Well, once they're on, first of all, I always preach barrier contraception. So things like condoms. So if you're using condoms, you reduce the risk of transmitting it
Yeah.
99%. If you're on treatment, so if I usually tell somebody 3 months into treatment, usually, remember we talked about antibodies and whether this person is
Yeah.
infectious or not. So if I have somebody that's in the non-infectious zone and in the non-active zone, then the chance of them transmitting it is much less than somebody that has a whole bunch of these envelope antibodies and all that. So that's why I like to have all my lab tests at that first consultation, so I can now really predict, with some degree of certainty that, uh, you should really stick only to condoms. You should go on treatment. I like to give definitive treatment plans.
Hmm.
And
Okay,
I'll
let's take
the for hepatitis B, when I'm managing it, I give people a 1 year schedule.
right.
Like, you're going to collect this drug plus this supplement monthly for 3 months. Then we're going to check your liver again. Then we'll go another 3 months and we check your liver again. I like to have a map so they know the energies required, maybe the funds required, and then they stick with it instead of just taking treatment for a month and thinking that, oh, I'm fine.
That's it. Yeah. Okay, let's switch
That
gears.
happens a lot.
Vaccines. What vaccines are available for hepatitis? I think that when my kids were taking vaccines, I'm not sure that they took. I don't remember. Or was it me who took? I don't remember. But what vaccines are available for hepatitis, and who should receive them?
Um, First, we have vaccine for the first two. So hepatitis A, hepatitis B.
Mm-hmm.
And hepatitis B is the one that is important because, remember, we said there's no cure and it can be chronic, right? So those two people that should get the vaccine are newborns. So I'm not sure when they started making it mandatory in Nigeria, but in the U.S. we're getting them. So for newborns, children, if you've not been vaccinated, so you're a sexually active or about to be a sexually active adult, and you've not been vaccinated before, you should receive the vaccine. One one that I'm preaching now is house help. So anybody that's doing household chores, I've done. So we have a package in the lab. So you just bring your prospective house help, and we'll run a series of tests. And I've seen all manners. I've seen hepatitis there. I've seen syphilis. I've seen HIV. And you just want to be very careful with somebody that's in your house with all your plates and your children. So
Yeah.
house help should be vaccinated uh, as well. And then, if you're on dialysis or you're taking a lot of blood transfusions, maybe you have sickle cell, for some reason you have severe anemia, because back in the before 1980, especially in the States, we used to get a lot of hepatitis from blood transfusion. They were not really screened for them very well. In Nigeria, getting the blood, are they spending the time and money on screening, or where you're getting the blood from and who's giving the blood? So those people, and the final group are people like me, healthcare workers. So that's why I'm glad
Yeah.
I even, yeah, healthcare workers, because you can get needle stuck or blood splash or anything like that at any time, and we don't reject patients just because they are infected. We need to protect ourselves.
Wow. Okay. Okay. You mentioned protection when it comes to practical steps which individuals can take to reduce their risk of contracting hepatitis. Are there other steps that individuals can take to protect themselves from contracting hepatitis?
So when I'm talking, especially to like a couple or a partner situation where they're eyeing each other with that bombastic side eye, where did you get this from? I remind
Yeah.
it's also a way of saying how do people reduce the risk. So if you're not vaccinated yet or you're not completed your vaccination, avoid sharing razors. Right? Razors can make quick
Fine.
cuts. Avoid sharing clippers. Clippers can do the same thing. Where
Mm,
you're getting your tattoo, I don't like the idea of anybody being tattooed. But the where you get your tattoo or where you get your piercing. Can I ask you a quick question? When you see somebody with a tattoo, do you have more or less respect for them instantly?
mm-hmm.
I'm asking you personally.
Do I have tattoos? No, I don't.
No, no, no. When you see somebody with a tattoo, do you get more respect or less respect for them instantly?
Um, when I was younger, I just thought it was really weird. Now, I think for now, it depends on the type of tattoo. So maybe it's your kid's name, it's a rose, maybe your dad's name or your mom's name because they passed or something.
Mhm.
It doesn't look it looks tasteful. When it's all those I'm just like, okay.
So
I'm not
that
judging
was,
you. I'm not
yeah,
judging
I'm
you,
not
but
judging you, but I'm
there are
just judging
some
you.
that you see and you're just like a light skinned person that gets maybe there's some designs you see and you're just like, did you really think this through as to
Right,
how it would
exactly.
come off? Like when you put it on your body, especially depending on your complexion. I'm just like, because it makes you look dirty. So
Mhm.
my feelings about it are different per time or per person.
Yes,
You don't
I'm
care
trying to
for it. That's
coach
what you
the.
said.
Yeah, and when I'm coaching younger people, and I'm trying to tell them, if you really think about it, wait. If you're really thinking about it, get a henna tattoo. You know those ones that the Indians do that fade over time, right? Just stick in that realm and just let some years go by and now see. But the internet, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, they're full of people that have gotten tattoos that are regretting them. Full of
Oh yeah.
people doing laser tattoo removal.
And the
And
laser
when
can't
some
even take them off properly.
it,
Going
it,
to
it can't, and it's more painful than getting the tattoo. So you really need to be sure. I'm so happy. One day I was in class when I was in undergrad. Four of us were bored in biology class and we're like, hey, let's go get tattoos. I'm far away
yeah.
from home. My mom can't beat me from there. My dad can't slap me from there. So we went to the mall. Thank God when I looked at my first friend getting this tattoo, all the desire went away from me and I just supported them, got some snacks and went back home. Not a drop.
No,
No,
I
not a
actually
drop.
do agree with you because I think, and that's that when you want to make a decision, a life changing decision, you make or life altering decision, you have to think about, okay, would I feel this way 10 years
Mhm.
from now? Interestingly, I used to be a very impulsive person. Like I'll just do stuff without thinking about it. But sometimes I'm like, if I do this thing now, would I still stand by this decision I made
Mhm.
even at the end of the day, not even 10 years from now, literally at the end of, and that has, I'm not gonna lie, helped me a lot. So for instance, I was really, really obsessed with getting a nose piercing for a very long time. And I used to say to everybody around me, I haven't gotten it because I'm just like, hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know, maybe get a temporary one, maybe just get the one that I don't have to pierce my
See,
nose. I
that's
don't
like the henna tattoo. Exactly. Do that and
exactly
just
for
see if
me,
you're going
yeah.
to want that for the rest of your life.
Yeah, but I want extra piercings in my ear. I just haven't gotten around to doing it, and that's I'm just like, because sometimes when I'm about to do, I'm like, do I really want to? So I understand what you mean by that because when you make a decision, I mean, it's the same thing with what we're talking about, like having hepatitis B. Like there are people who've had it and are ashamed of it and are passing it on to other people because they don't know that they have it. They've passed
Mhm.
it on to somebody else who now doesn't know where they actually got it from. So it's a cycle of wickedness, so to speak, right? Like you're putting on other
Very
people.
true.
So yeah, I'm like, will this thing matter 10 years from now? If it's not gonna matter, what's the point?
Very true.
That's it.
Very
Yeah,
true. That's a good way of looking at it.
yeah.
So we were talking about how to reduce the risk of, just a simple way because we didn't talk about hepatitis A and E to reduce the risk, which is wash hands, make sure you know who's preparing your food, the water you drink, makes it matter. Wash your fruits and vegetables properly, right? I was notorious. I'll just see an apple in the fridge and grab it, and I'll get a hand slap and have to wash that thing. And it's important because it can actually live on the surface
Of food.
of fruits and vegetables. And then final thing, anything that can cut the skin or touches blood, should be avoided and sterilized at the very minimum.
Right. Yeah. Okay. What about alcohol? Does alcohol have any impact on hepatitis, or is someone who takes alcohol, are they at risk of an increase? I mean, how do I explain it? How does it impact someone, Sha, with hepatitis? Because I know
Yeah.
that it
So,
definitely cannot because it's your liver, you say. So I think my
mhm.
question is two throngs. Can it alcohol intake, can it cause hepatitis? Number one. Number two, if someone has hepatitis and they're still drinking, does it have an impact on them?
Yeah. So remember we said at the beginning, we said hepatitis means inflammation
Inflammation
of
of
the liver,
of
right?
liver. Mhm.
So you can have something called non-viral hepatitis, meaning inflammation of the liver, not from virus. You can have alcoholic hepatitis, where you know it's the alcohol that's causing the inflammation.
Right.
If a liver, whether it's from hepatitis or from alcohol or for something else, the first thing that will happen to a liver when it's injured, meaning you're doing the wrong thing or a virus or you're taking drugs, it will get inflamed and that will make it swell up a little bit. It starts making fat deposits where it's trying to say put all the toxins in. It's not able to finish, so it saves them in these little fat droplets.
Mhm.
That continues, and the liver will still getting bigger and bigger and bigger. That inflammation lasts for too long. It will now start scarring, forming scar tissue, and the liver will start getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And
Mhm.
very soon after, you go into liver failure. So just drinking alcohol by itself can put you all the way into liver failure, right? Chronic alcohol use can eventually end up in liver failure. If you have hepatitis, you just added another level of injury. So to answer your question, alcohol is very dangerous for somebody living with hepatitis,
Hmm.
because already hepatitis already puts stress on your liver. Alcohol adds even more stress. And when both of them are present, your risk of cirrhosis, which is that scarring of the liver, or liver failure, or even your chance of getting liver cancer, all of those go up. So really, anybody I'm treating for hepatitis B and C, my rule for them is stop all alcohol and let your liver recover, let the treatment take. And another thing, when you're using alcohol, the medication you're using doesn't work as well. So any antibiotic, any antiviral, any supplement you're using will not work as well if you have high levels of alcohol in your system.
Okay. Love that. So now let's talk about, we started this program talking about lifestyle, dietary changes. So does that also have an impact on someone with hepatitis? Them changing their lifestyle, like for instance, reducing their alcohol intake. How does it impact, their hepatitis basically for them, or support their liver's health?
I'm going to talk about um, this diet, this one, right? So
Yes.
uh, it,
Feel
it's
free, feel
it's
free.
it's important. It's that your a proper diet or a proper lifestyle affects your metabolic health, which is just all the body processes that are going on. Also affects your immune system. Your immune system not only fights infection, which hepatitis is an infection, but your immune system also is the, how would I say, coordinator of repair. So if you're eating in a diet that has excessive alcohol, excessive sugar,
Mhm.
carbohydrates, bubbly drinks, instant noodles. Oh, instant noodles gets me.
I'm not really a fan. No. I'm just like, I'm serious. Like, if everyone's eating noodles, I'm like, so
If
it's not
you
my cup of
if
tea.
you if you look at the packet, we all know the instant noodles I want to talk about, but all of them like that. Just challenge anybody listening. Look at the ingredients, then get there's these Italian noodles. Maria is one. Like there's so many different types of Italian noodles. Just look at the difference in the ingredients. One of them will say wheat and wheat flour, salt. That's the ones I use. The other ones will have all preservative, this coloring, another preservative, sugar, sodium benzohexate, all kinds of unnecessary things. This is why you can open a pack of those instant noodles and it can stay out on the counter and not get spoiled.
Mhm.
You know,
Mm.
when you have something that is that shelf stable, I'm afraid. I'm afraid of it. If I have food and I leave it out overnight and it spoils, more than likely that's natural. That's natural food, right? That's what's supposed to happen to food. If you don't refrigerate it, it spoils overnight. If you have something that stays good for 1 week, 2 weeks, um, after 3 weeks or a month or two afterwards, it means that there are a lot of preservatives, and typically a lot of those preservatives down the road can cause inflammation, or even link to cancer. So that's my thing about instant noodles, processed foods in general. Two thumbs down from Dr. Ajay.
Hmm.
And I'll
Wow.
add exercise always. If you can exercise, it improves your immune system, which affects everything else. So can't stress how important good lifestyle choices are.
Hmm. Right. This is still Women Radio 91.7 FM, and we've been
You're
having
thinking
conversation.
about having some instant noodles, right?
No, I'm not having it. It's not my. It's not my go to at all. Bread is my go to, and I'm even trying to. I have moments when I don't eat bread, and it's moments I have bread. Oh, speaking of bread, okay, now I'm not eat bread, but noodles. Like I only have noodles if that was the worst case scenario, and even at that is that if anybody asks me, oh, would you have noodles? I'm still saying no. I'm
Hmm.
still saying no unless I'm like, oh, more there's no food in this house, so let me just eat, and I hate it, right? So, which is interesting because I really, really used to like noodles, but I don't. It's not my, it's not my thing at all right now. So yeah, Dr. Biola has said it. Instant noodles, alcohol. What about fried foods?
Fried foods are there as well. Using seed oils, the Roro and all these corn oil, safflower oil, all of those things also get two thumbs down. Deep fried snacks.
Yeah, have you tried
There's
to eat boiled chicken before? Boiled chicken is not interesting. Oh, wow.
So real quickly, because I cooked dinner last night. I
Okay.
just dropped in some butter, dropped in some chopped up onions, chopped up garlic, mix that for a couple of minutes. Then I now add water. I now add my chicken and I season it heavily, right? So I have curry powder, turmeric, onion powder, garlic powder, black pepper, cayenne pepper, chili powder, and paprika. I use those in different combinations. And then it's not boring boiled chicken again. If I have time, I'll now take that chicken out, put it into the air fry it, and then I'll now put it back into the stock and the stew, and then I'll now season that and make that a soup. And if I have a lot of vegetables in the house, I will saute those and put it in there. So as I'm eating the chicken, which was air fried, which is better, right? And then all those vegetables, and the soup water is now thick, because it's a broth. It's the chicken stock and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes last night I thickened it a little bit, put like 1 teaspoon of peak milk and 2 teaspoons of flour, just small teaspoons. Use that to thicken. Add curry powder at the end to taste. It is fantastic, and
But
it's
that's
definitely not
Olimbo food.
boring. It's
That's
definitely not boring. It's good.
okay.
If I was going to eat Nigerian food, then I would get efo with turkey and chicken and all of that, and just take reduce your carbohydrate to a